Hi there, welcome to my new build. If you've seen any of my videos before, you'll probably have a little bit of an idea that I like flying wings, combat wings. Not particularly for combat, I just love the intensity of flying them. And anyway, my new build is a really exciting combat wing. It's Voodoo 6. Now, if you're going to build anything with a name like Voodoo 6, it kind of gives you an idea that it's going to be something pretty special. Well, this is it's a 36-inch wing, or if you put the additional wingtips on, it stretches it out to about 40 inches. And for such a small wing, it's got quite a big engine range. It's from 29 to 46 size engine, and boy, with a 46 size engine, this thing must really shift. Let me just read you a couple of comments from the build article that comes with this. This is from RCM magazine, and I downloaded it off AutoZone. And as a lot of the articles, a lot of the plans that you get on AutoZone, there's a build article with it. But let me just read you a couple of comments that in the actual build article. Okay. Want something that will get your pulse going a little quicker, but will not take you a year to build? Well, I mean, that's going to appeal to all of us, hasn't it? Everybody. And okay, second thing, it accelerates crisply in the vertical, in brackets, 0 to 60 miles per hour vertically in 4 to 5 seconds. Has a roll rate of 900 plus degrees per second, and is essentially vice-free handling over a wide speed range. What more can you ask for? And just finally, just one more thing. Okay, and this, it always makes me laugh, this, and this is what really drew me to build this wing. If you still require the top of your aircraft to be a different colour than the bottom, think twice about building and flying this wing. So anyway, it just sounds like an awesome wing to build. So this is my next build, and I really hope you'll join me and follow me in building this and flying it at the end, hopefully. It's, as I said, it's a combat wing, but it's actually got quite large booms and a tail. And the engine I'm going to be using for this is an Irvine 40. This is one of the old Mark II Irvine 40s. And a couple of reasons for this. It's not the maximum they're suggesting, which is 46, but a couple of reasons. I've got a few of these. They're great, reliable engines. And if I really do need more power than a 40 size engine on a 40-inch wing, then the mounting lugs are the same size as the older 46 Irvine engines, or Irvine 46s, of which I've got one, so I can always swap it out to get a little bit more power. So anyway, I think this is going to be a really exciting build, and I'm really psyched about it. And I've been starting to do a little bit of the preparation, so we'll have a look at that now. Well, I've now got some templates made. These are 3mm plywood, and I'm going to use these for making the wing ribs, and I'm going to use 2 of the templates either end of a sandwich of balsa to get identical ribs. And I've actually got 2 different types of ribs here bolted together. I've got 2 templates for the majority of the ribs, and these are the outer 5 on each side, and then in the centre of the wing there are 4 larger ribs, larger on the top here. They've got a bit of a bulge, and that is to accommodate the radio and the transmitters and stuff. Forms kind of the body section of the wing in the centre. And so these have got exactly the same profile on the bottom. I started making these with the templates off the plan by sticking them on here and cutting them out, but they were absolutely shocking. The 2 different ribs had different profiles on the bottom. They weren't at all similar, which they need to be to get the consistency of the wing underneath. And the front, the leading edge of the rib, needs to be 3/4 inch to fit this 3/4 inch leading edge. but in actual fact they were much too big. They were about an inch. So what I did in the end is I used this plan section, which is from the plan section of the wing, which is on the main plans, and I actually took these profiles here, which seem to be fairly accurate. The measurements for the leading edge add up, and it's a symmetrical rib, so it all works out nicely if you use this. So if you're going to make this, cast aside the two wing templates and use this as your guide, because this is correct and the other templates, well, yeah. So I've got these. I'm now going to unbolt them, sandwich the balsa in between, 1/16 balsa, and make all my identical ribs, or the 10 identical small ones and then the 4 bigger ones. I'll probably do one extra as well, just in case I damage one or something. What I've also done is I've made the booms, the two booms. These are out of 1.5 mil or 1/16 plywood, so these are very easy to make. There are a couple of templates that come on the plans, which you can actually trust. It doesn't really matter if it's a little bit out anyway, I guess, with the booms. So I just use those for the ends and this for that end, and the actual overall length of the boom I took from this plan here. I just measured that, and those work out quite nicely. So we've got those done. I haven't cut this section out here, which is where basically that there goes over the rear sheeting on the trailing edge of the wing, and then these come in and glue on the side of these fatter ribs here, I believe. Yes. So anyway, I haven't cut that out yet. I'm going to do that once I've got the ribs done, and I actually need to use these. So I will get on now and make the ribs. But just a word of warning about the templates. I've now got the ribs shaped. I put in 10 blanks in between the two templates and just sanded those to the size of the plywood templates, these 3mm plywood templates. And I've done that here with the slightly bigger ribs, and of course there's 4 blanks that were put into there, and that's sanded. Now it's interesting because when they talk about laying this out for setting the wing out, they talk about sitting this spar on top of a 1/4 inch piece of balsa. So if we put that on a 1/4 inch piece of balsa, that should just sit nice and flat on the piece of balsa that's going to act as the trailing edge, which it does. So that's kind of a good indication that we've got the ribs right. Now the next job is to cut in the slots for these 1/4 inch spars. Now because these ribs are basically all of the same wing, these slots need to line up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take out the bolts, and I'm going to put this together as one unit. So I've got the smaller ribs at the front and the bigger ribs at the back, and then I can use my razor saw and cut down and do all of the slots together. If I do them separately, maybe they're slightly offline, and we've gone to all this trouble to get these identical ribs, and then if we don't get the slots right, they could be out of squiff. So I'm going to bolt these together now, and then I'll put in those slots. I've now got them all bolted together, and we've still got same profile nicely underneath. Fronts, back, line up nice. I've taken out the rear template of these smaller ones because it's just not needed, and it's just one more thing to cut through when I'm doing these slots. Now these bottom slots here for the 1/4 inch spars, very straightforward, easy to mark up, and easy to cut with the razor saw. And I'll just do the vertical cuts for the moment, and then I'll take them all apart, and I will use my scalpel and just get the scalpel and so I'll have the vertical cuts, and I will just measure the depth with the spar, and then I would just cut out the tab so that it fits in. So that's how I'm going to do the bottom. The top one's a little bit more, well, same procedure, but a little bit more difficult to do. You can see here that these slots don't actually line up, which is a good reason to put them together and cut them together. My razor saw is deep enough to do that slot, so I'm just going to need to cut those slots, same as the bottom, but just very carefully to keep the saw vertical and not to stray off. I've now got all of the smaller ribs finished with the slot cut top and bottom, and I'm moving on to the bigger ribs, and I'll just show you how I'm going to do this. I'm going to use one of the smaller ribs as a template for the slot, and I'm going to make sure it's exactly lined up like that. Just double check that's right, and then I'm going to use that as a depth gauge to cut out this piece here. There we go. Now it's just left a little bit in the bottom there, and I can see that this is just a little bit narrow on this front edge, so where I trimmed it before, so I'm just going to trim that and take a slither off this top section here where it slides in. Now this top section here, once the spar is actually in, this top section here we fill in. Now let's just lift that up and make sure this is absolutely lined up, and I'm just going to take a shaving off there just to make sure that that is a good fit, and that's where we need our good scalpel. And in fact I'm going to take a shaving off all the way up. Like I say, this top section is going to get filled in. Luckily there's only 4 of these ribs, so it takes a little bit more time, but it's well worth it. And there we go. So that's perfectly lined up, which is nice. So I will get on and do the others. Right, we now have our finished ribs. We've got the 10 identical ribs, smaller ribs with the slots top and bottom, and then we have these larger ribs with the more difficult, challenging top slot. These are more challenging than your average ribs, I guess, having them two different sizes with this extra slot, but all the more rewarding to get it done, all the more challenging to think about. And we've also got our templates here, should we decide to make ourselves another plane if we have a bit of a mishap. So that's really rewarding to get those done, and now I'm really looking forward to getting on and starting to build this wing. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe, please come back and see how we get on with the build.